Good morning. This is XPulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Wednesday, July 29th, 2026. We're talking about OpenAI's giant data center financing talks, Meta's BlackRock-backed Texas build, and a wave of policy and security moves around the world. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready. Let's get into it.
The New York Times reported on July 28th that OpenAI is close to a massive data center project, described as a $500 billion scale initiative, with Nvidia discussing up to $250 billion in financial backstops. Orion, what's actually being negotiated here?
It sounds like a mega leasing and infrastructure financing package. OpenAI wants guaranteed access to huge amounts of compute, while partners line up capital and credit support. The Times says Nvidia could provide up to $250 billion in backstops, basically assurances that make lenders and lessors comfortable.
When you hear backstop, is that Nvidia writing checks, or more like underwriting the risk?
More like underwriting and de-risking. Think guarantees, capacity commitments, and structured financing, so the project can move even if demand, pricing, or timelines wobble. The report also mentions partners like SoftBank, which fits the pattern: big capital plus long-duration infrastructure bets.
Zooming out, what does this signal about where the AI race is headed?
Compute is becoming the strategy, not just a cost line. If OpenAI can lock in infrastructure at that scale, it's a moat, while everyone else has to fight for power, chips, and long-term leases. Also, it ties model roadmaps to grid reality, which is not the most romantic constraint.
On July 28th, Yahoo Finance reported Meta and BlackRock agreed to build a $14 billion 1-gigawatt data center in Texas. BlackRock takes an 80% stake, Meta keeps 20%. Orion, why structure it this way?
It's a financing move as much as an infrastructure move. Meta gets capacity without carrying the full capex burden, and BlackRock gets a long-term asset-backed investment tied to an anchor tenant. With investors scrutinizing AI spending, shifting cost off Meta's balance sheet is the quiet headline.
1 gigawatt is a lot. How big is that in practical terms?
It's enormous, at the top end of hyperscale builds. The limiting factor isn't just servers, it's power delivery, substation work, cooling, and grid agreements. We're watching AI turn into an energy and finance story, whether the industry likes it or not.
Does this change the competitive picture versus, say, Microsoft or Google?
It helps Meta keep pace on compute without spooking markets as much. And it normalizes a model where financial giants co-own AI infrastructure, similar to how energy projects get funded. If this works, you'll see more AI meets project finance headlines.
Bloomberg reported on July 28th that Taiwanese prosecutors detained an Nvidia employee in an investigation into alleged AI chip smuggling into China. Searches reportedly happened July 24th at the staffer's home and Nvidia's Taipei office. Orion, what stands out?
This brings the black market for advanced chips into sharp focus. The allegations include forgery and breach of trust, which suggests investigators think documentation or internal processes were exploited. It also puts Nvidia in the middle of a cross-border legal mess tied to export controls and gray channel demand.
Does this imply broader enforcement is ramping up beyond the usual policy headlines?
Yes. When authorities start detaining individuals, companies tend to tighten compliance fast: more tracking, stricter partner vetting, and less tolerance for creative resellers. It can also slow legitimate supply because everyone becomes cautious, and caution is friction.
What should listeners watch for next?
Whether prosecutors widen the scope, more employees, more intermediaries, or whether this stays a single-person case. And watch Nvidia's response: internal controls, distribution changes, and cooperation signals. In chipland, process is product.
Bloomberg reported on July 28th that more than 1,100 employees across leading AI firms, signees from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, and Meta, signed a petition asking the U.S. government to support mechanisms to deliberately slow or govern frontier AI development. Orion, what are they asking for?
They're pushing for coordinated review and pacing, basically guardrails so capability jumps don't outrun society's ability to manage them. The letter frames it as risk reduction. Don't let frontier systems scale faster than oversight, evaluation, and response capacity.
Is this mainly about safety research or about competition getting out of hand?
Both. Employees are signaling that internal safety norms aren't enough when incentives reward shipping, And yes, nothing says alignment like a petition, but it's also a political move, asking government to create shared rules so individual companies aren't punished for slowing down.
Do petitions like this actually move policy?
Indirectly, yes. They give lawmakers cover, they create press pressure, and they hint at internal concern within top labs. Even if no one slows tomorrow, it raises the odds of formal evaluations, reporting requirements, and audit-like oversight for high-risk systems.
Politico reported on July 27 that Representatives Jay Obernolte and Lori Trahan rolled out a pared-back bipartisan bill as a last push before midterms, trimming state preemption while keeping federal inspection and transparency measures for high-risk AI. Orion, what's changed in this version?
They're aiming for a narrower coalition, less aggressive about overriding state laws, more focused on baseline federal tools, inspection authority, and transparency obligations for high-risk use cases. It reads like, what can we pass without detonating the entire debate?
So is this real momentum or political theater?
Some momentum, because it acknowledges the hard parts, states' rights, industry concerns, enforcement scope, and tries to compromise. But timing is brutal. The bill's chances rise if it's framed as a minimal practical floor, rather than a grand unified theory of AI governance.
What would be the immediate impact if something like this passed?
It would legitimize federal inspection and disclosure as normal expectations for certain AI systems. Even modest rules change behavior. Companies build compliance teams, standardize documentation, and treat model deployment less like a hackathon and more like a regulated release process.
Let's sweep around the rest of the map, starting in Europe. What's happening on the regulation and safety front?
Politico on July 27th says the EU has activated major new AI regulatory powers while grappling with a reported first rogue agent-style case, an agent behaving unpredictably. The piece argues Europe has stronger legal tools, but its leverage is constrained by the broader US-China race.
Staying with security for a beat, any big developments from the platform side?
Yes, BigGo Finance on July 28th says Apple shipped broad security updates, 87 iOS fixes and 155 macOS fixes, after AI-assisted discovery of hundreds of issues, with Anthropic, OpenAI, and Nvidia cited as contributors. Also, Tom's Hardware on July 27th, Nvidia launched the Open Secure AI Alliance, but OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic aren't founding members.
All right, tools and adoption. What should knowledge workers clock this morning?
VentureBeat on July 28th reports the Model Context Protocol, MCP, got a major stateless update aimed at scaling enterprise agents with stronger security and governance. BizTech Magazine on July 28th says financial services firms are moving AI into production, but keep hitting data quality, infrastructure, and governance walls. Financial Post on July 27th cites Morgan Stanley. About 40% of AI adopters reported at least one measurable benefit this earnings season, up from 21% a year ago. And NPR's Planet Money on July 28th explores AI tokens potentially becoming a standard unit like kilowatt hours for measuring AI consumption. Finally, The Diplomat on July 28th, Vietnam passed a new national AI law, positioning itself as a more interventionist regional regulator. Also, Fox Business Today, July 29th, covers an IEEE report naming health tech the top 2030 megatrend, with AI as the engine for personalized medicine and early diagnostics.
That's XPulse AI Morning Mix from XPulse for Wednesday, July 29th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.